OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, it's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC Podcast, and welcome to the WWE Fastlane Premium Live Event review or recap. You guys know I don't like to spend too long talking about these kind of things, but I actually thought this was a pretty good premium live event. I was expecting a little bit more, but I was actually very pleasantly surprised with what we were given, so let's get straight into it. So the first match on the Fastlane Premium Live event was the tag team match between JEY USO and CODY RHODES, going up against the Judgment Day members of Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Now, straight away from the beginning, Damian and Finn were working in synchronicity very well. Their moves were working really well together, and they were just on another level. Technically, this is their first defense as the tag team champions on a PLE, so it was very interesting to see how we obviously saw the match play out. Straight away from the beginning, the Judgment Day is working really hard on attacking JEY USO, beating him down to the point where he can't actually get over to CODY RHODES. During the match as well too, JEY USO was working really hard, and especially CODY RHODES as well too, on chopping down on Damian Priest's leg and on his knee to the point where eventually during the match it somewhat gave out. The match was very well paced, very well timed. We got to see Cody on the outside of the ring for quite some time before he eventually got a hot tag from JEY USO. When CODY RHODES got in the match, the crowd went absolutely nuts. Then we actually got to see Rhea and Dominic. For some reason I was going to say JD, not yet. Rhea and Dom came out to somewhat distract and help the Judgment Day during the match. There was a moment where Rhea was somewhat trying to enchant JEY USO, but then ends up causing a distraction and he ends up getting hit. Then we see, obviously, the Judgment Day's real antics start to play in. So we saw JD McDonough come in and he obviously took a super kick from somebody. Then we got to see, I think someone passed in the Money in the Bank briefcase and hit JEY USO in the head with it as well too. Obviously got a 2 count on that. It didn't actually work. Then we saw a moment where JD tried to pass the briefcase, everyone's outside of the ring, pass the briefcase to Damian Priest, but actually ends up hitting him in the knee, which then the match goes a completely different way because you've seen the Judgment Day really take control in this point in the match. This is very much the turning point. We start to see Jay and Cody working very fast, very well, lots of quick tags coming in, and we actually got to see some brand new tag team champions, which I don't really know how to feel. Mostly because I feel like Cody's meant to be going for singles gold, so I don't really know how I feel about him being in a makeshift tag team and being a tag team champion. But also, JEY USO's literally been in a tag team for the last decade, and now he's in another tag team as well. Interesting, but I think the one thing to come out of this was obviously the more tensions and more cracks forming within the entirety of the Judgment Day now. Obviously, this was JD McDonough's proving point to everybody within the Judgment Day that he actually wants to be a part of the group, but obviously hitting a main member like Damian Priest is not the right way to go about it. But yeah, so the new undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions are none other than CODY RHODES and JEY USO. What do you guys think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments. After the tag team match, we actually had like a quick behind the scenes segment with Booker T, Wade Barrett and Xavier Woods. This was pretty much just a product placement for Pizza Hut because Pizza Hut would be sponsoring the LWO and Street Profits match. Kind of feel it weird sometimes that they do these kind of promotional videos, backstage segments kind of thing. Sometimes it just doesn't feel very natural, but I really enjoyed seeing Booker T in this kind of role. Him obviously doing what he did was really funny. The second match on the card was the LWO, which obviously we knew we were going to have Rey and Santos and a mystery opponent or mystery participant from the LWO going up against the new and improved Street Profits, Street Business. So you had Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, so Montez and Angelo. They all came out in matching gear. Obviously, Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. I really enjoyed seeing their new ring gear. It's like a sense of unity within the group. I really enjoyed it. Now, straight away from the beginning, the LWO was like, no, we can do this as a 2-on-3, like we don't need the third person. So obviously, Rey and Santos start working together to try and beat down on the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. They need some form of name. I'm just going to call them the Almighty in this because it's so much easier than calling them by their names. But we can start to see that Ray's really trying to work against the other team, but he's actually getting taken advantage of quite a bit. There's a moment as well too where Santos tries to tag in, but he actually ends up getting knocked down off the ring apron by Montez Ford, causing Rey Mysterio very much to be in the match on his own, and he's, getting beaten down on by the Almighty for quite some time when we hear none other than Carlito's new music. So Carlito's name was along the bottom of the ring, and we heard a new theme song, which I was excited to see Carlito, but very confused as to why they've kind of all of a sudden giving him a new theme. I very much was looking forward to the sound of the apple spit and him saying he spits in the face of people who don't like to be cool. Anyway, Carlito came into the match and he was looking absolutely fantastic. He's looking so incredibly big and swole and strong, looking so good. He just starts pulling out a few moves and he actually gets the win for the LWO. So the LWO win this match, which was really cool to see. Obviously, a returning Carlito would have been the one to get the win on this. I'm really excited to see where this goes, whether or not Carlito's coming and actually joining the LWO, or where Santos's heel turn's going to go. I'm also excited to see how this kind of loss now impacts the new and improved Street Profits and Bobby Lashley, to see where the faction goes, whether we get new team members because the Street Profits couldn't do the job. I don't know, I guess we just have to wait and see. After this match, we actually got to see a review segment, obviously from a moment that happened earlier on in the night during the kickoff show. We saw this car drive through the complex down in the car park area, and actually got to see Michael Cole talking about someone who's a brand new free agent has actually come to watch Fastlane. The door opens and we see none other than Jade Cargill come out of the car looking so fly, so fleek. I'll see if I can post a picture of it here. She looked unreal. She looks like a freaking bona fide star. She looked incredible. She comes out of the car and catches up with Triple H, and they kind of just walk and talk. I'm so excited with the way they are treating her like such a big deal. She didn't actually play any part in the Fastlane premium live event within itself, but I think making her such a big deal like this will make that moment whenever she arrives, wherever she arrives, such a big deal, and they are treating her like such a star. I'm so incredibly happy with the way she's been put out on social media and on premium live events so far. They're obviously taking a lot of time and care into her and her character, making her feel like such a big deal. I loved this part. Then we had the triple threat women's match, which was Asuka, Charlotte Flair, and Io Sky. Straight away from the beginning, we start to see Charlotte go after Asuka, but very early on in this match, Asuka actually missed Charlotte in the face, which causes Charlotte to roll outside of the ring for a little bit. Now, I was thinking maybe there was going to be a point in time where she wasn't medically cleared to participate in this match and we'd see somebody else come in, i.e. Jade or Bianca, to take Charlotte's place for this match. Anyway, during this time where Charlotte's outside of the ring, we're actually seeing Io and Asuka doing a lot of work inside of the ring. Their chemistry is second to none. It's incredible to see, even for the small amount of times that we do, the work that goes on between Asuka and Io. You can tell they've been wrestling with each other for a very long time and know each other's strong suits. There was lots of good striking, lots of good high-flying moves coming in from Io Sky. I really enjoyed seeing her aerial work here. Then kind of out of nowhere, Charlotte kind of just runs back into the match and just starts taking control. She starts doing a lot of suplexes and she just starts getting a lot of power moves in. There was a moment as well too outside of the ring where Io hits a really nice moonsault on Asuka, and then Charlotte's like, I can do one better, and then does her moonsault. But I actually, unpopular opinion, think that Io's moonsault is much better than Charlotte's. There was moments in this match where it kind of felt like it maybe dragged on for a little bit, but I really enjoyed this match. We got to see Bayley come out to try and help Io. Io's trying to tell Bayley outside of the ring, I can handle this. I told you to leave me to handle my business. You don't need to be a part of this. Then Bayley actually starts to help Io more than Io wanted in terms of distracting the ref. There's a moment where Asuka's in the figure 8 lock by Charlotte Flair and she's tapping, but Bayley's distracting the ref to the point where the ref can't see it. Then Io does a move off the top rope and ends up getting Charlotte and ends up getting a 3 count. So the ref sees it and counts the pin, and Io retains the championship, which I was so incredibly excited for. I feel like we really need to keep building Io up as this really incredible champion who's such a dominant force within the division, because if you give Io time, she's actually going to put on a really good performance. She's a phenomenal wrestler, and I feel as though she's been booked into this corner where she's not really getting the chance to prove how great she is. Now, I do have a feeling later on down the line, we are going to see another match with her and Asuka, which I'm so incredibly excited for. I was kind of hoping that Kairi Sane was going to come out at the end of this match and make her presence known, or Jade Cargill, but we didn't see either of them, which is totally fine. We can obviously fantasy book who we want to see. But then we saw Dakota come out and obviously come and hug up with obviously Bayley and Io Sky, celebrating Io's win. I am so excited for this, and I'm so excited to see where Io goes from here. For the women's match, we saw Pat McAfee make his return. Now he's from Indianapolis, so it kind of makes sense for him to come out here at the Premium Live event, which is in Indianapolis. He's wearing one of those NFL title belts that they have, which was quite cool. He said a few things and goes ahead and welcomes John Cena out to the ring. So John Cena makes his entrance, and then LA Knight comes out. Crowd goes absolutely crazy for LA Knight, like incredibly crazy. Then we obviously see Jimmy and Solo come out. During this time, Solo's looking very hesitant. He doesn't really know what's going on or kind of like how he's supposed to conduct himself during this. But we actually see all 4 men in the ring, and before they decide who's going to be obviously starting off the tag match, the crowd, I kid you not, is going crazy for LA Knight. Like, they're literally chanting like LA Knight, LA Knight. So if that doesn't show you how over LA Knight is, I don't know what more you want. But John Cena started off this match and he did an incredible job. Obviously, the amount of ring rust he may have from not participating full time in the wrestling world or wrestling capacity, a little bit of it was on show, but not as much as I was expecting. He did manage to put on a really good performance. Pretty much the story behind this match is that Jimmy and Solo worked on John Cena really well for a long period of time to kind of stop LA Knight from getting his moment to come in the match. Jimmy and Solo are working really hard, beating down on John, and there's a moment where Solo's standing outside of the ring and Jimmy's standing inside and goes in for the tag, but then Solo doesn't actually tag Jimmy. He kind of just goes in and starts doing his thing. So I don't know if they felt as though their communication wasn't on point or if it's all just a part of the story. It's very interesting to see the dynamic between Jimmy and Solo, considering Jimmy's not actually fully back into the bloodline. He's very much trying to work his way back in. Anyway, this goes on for quite some time until we actually see LA Knight start to make his way into the match. Now, he's trying to get in, but he's getting beaten down on a few times, and then he manages to get in. He's pulling out move after move, so he's pulling out DDTs, BFTs, he's doing his thing. Then he ends up getting knocked down, and obviously the crowd's quite upset because, you know, we want to see LA Knight doing really well. The pace of the match starts to kick in, and it's doing really well, going really well, when we actually see LA Knight had a BFT on Jey Uso to come away with the win. I think this was a good way to do it because you don't want to pin Solo because you want to make Solo still look very dominant. Pinning John Cena in this match wouldn't actually be that big of a deal because it wouldn't really affect him in some way, shape or form. Whereas if you were to pin LA Knight during this match, it would kind of derail his momentum. So I think pinning Jimmy was the best move forward because obviously now Roman's got a reason to be upset with Jimmy. You know, you tried to work your way back into the bloodline, but you got pinned, you couldn't win for the group, so on and so on. So during this match as well too, we actually saw that Paul Heyman was holding his phone very close to his face. So he's almost doing like a play-by-play on the phone with Roman. So when we saw them lose, he actually looked really worried and really like, oh no, what are we going to do? Because obviously we now know that Roman Reigns will be returning next week on Friday Night SmackDown. So it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic is between them all now. And the last match of the night was Seth freaking Rollins defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura, and this is a last man standing match. I really enjoyed the match. I felt at first the pacing was very slow, very methodical. Obviously Shinsuke was putting a lot of work in terms of trying to beat down on Seth Rollins' back. We started to see Seth Rollins fight back during this match. He starts grabbing some stuff from under the ring. So he's grabbing a kendo stick, setting up a table. There was a moment in which he started to set up a ladder next to the commentary desk as well too. We see them work all the way around the ring as well too, so they're not just specifically in the ring. We see Shinsuke Nakamura getting some nunchucks out as well too and hitting Seth Rollins across the back with them, which was really cool to see. There was a moment where a chair was set, and it was set up in the middle of the ring and kind of was avoided for quite some time during the match. Seth and Shinsuke actually started working in the crowd as well too, so obviously because it's a last man standing match, it's a non-disqualification, which means that they can work anywhere in the arena. We saw a move where Seth Rollins actually got thrown off the side of the stairwell onto the ground, and it really looked like it actually really hurt his back as well too. Obviously there's many a times where Shinsuke is capitalizing off the fact that he wants to ruin Seth Rollins' back. Seth Rollins though is managing to get up just before that 10 count, maybe in that 7, 8, 9 count spot. And we start to see them go back into the ring, and then we see Seth Rollins actually setting Shinsuke Nakamura up on the commentary table to go up on the ladder. But then we see Shinsuke Nakamura meet Seth Rollins at the top of the ladder and hit Seth Rollins with a mist. So he ended up hitting this like red mist onto Seth Rollins' face, which very much looked like blood. Fit the ring gear colouring of Shinsuke Nakamura because he was wearing red and black, which is really cool to see. Then we end up seeing Shinsuke Nakamura slamming Seth Rollins onto that chair that was left in the middle of the ring. This is very synonymous with what happened on Monday Night Raw, because that's how Seth Rollins was laid out after Shinsuke's attack in the middle of the ring by a chair. Then we saw them make their way outside the crowd again, and we saw Seth Rollins hitting a stomp onto Shinsuke. Obviously Shinsuke managed to get above, like on his feet before the 10 count. Then we saw Seth Rollins hit a pedigree and a stomp, and then he ends up hitting the Falcon Arrow, and this is into like one of the tech tables. And I'm kind of confused with how this went, because Shinsuke looked like he was stumbling and he was getting back up on his feet, and then he kind of just like stumbled again, and the ref obviously counted that as still within that 10 count, and so he fell down again, and Seth Rollins won the match. So Seth Rollins is still the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not mad at it, but I think in the way they did that at the very end, it made Shinsuke look very weak. I don't know how you could have had Shinsuke down for a 10 count without making him look weak in the way that they did. I feel like there was another way of doing it. I don't know. I just kind of felt like the way Shinsuke kind of got up and then fell down again very much left a bad taste in my mouth. Very interested to see where they go from here. I feel like they're probably going to set up a third match for Crown Jewel, which is the next premium live event that we're going to be getting. Hopefully this is the last match between them. Maybe it's an Extreme Rules Hell in a Cell match, who knows. But I'm still happy to see that Seth Rollins is still your World Heavyweight Champion. He put on a phenomenal performance, and I'm really hoping he's going to be okay after this match because it looked gnarly. Those are my thoughts on WWE Fastlane from this year. Make sure to let me know down in the comments how you felt about this premium live event, what matches you liked the most, what your predictions were, and how many you got right. If you stuck around till the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that helps us out a lot in terms of support and pushing our videos out for wrestling fans like you to find. Make sure you go ahead and follow all of our personal social medias as well too. They are down in the description, so all of our Instagrams and TikToks, so you can keep up to date with what we are doing when we are not posting on here. There will be reviews next week for Raw NXT, which I'm so jealous that Reese gets such a good episode of NXT. We've got an AEW review coming in from Ross, and we'll have SmackDown as well as our podcast next week. So if you want to keep up to date with all of our videos and our uploads, make sure you go ahead and check out the Outcasted's Instagram. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.